What is up, guys? So today I'm going to talk about some of the crazy, insane people that I used to stay with when I was a homeless heroin addict. Now, when you're a homeless heroin addict, you have to try and stay wherever you can, which usually entails paying someone a couple bags to let you stay on the city, and you end up meeting some real fucking crazy people. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, and an incident what happened yesterday, which it caught me off guard. It was nothing, but me being me, started overthinking it, creating all the worst outcomes, and I woke up today that was fuck all. But that's what it's like living with mental health problems. So yeah, that's what I'm going to talk about today. Now, I didn't do a video yesterday because I just wasn't feeling it. I got up, I was just like, I just couldn't get into it. I did try and make it a video, but the jokes weren't landing. I just kept mumbling. I was like, fuck this. So I thought I'll do a video while I'm out and about. So jumped on my bike. It was a lovely day. And I went past this hotel. Now, if there's anyone from Donny watching this, if you let me know in the comments, right? In Hyde Park, there's a little motel thing next to a graveyard, and I can't figure out what it is. It's the strangest motel. It's like one of those, in the movies, the American movies, like Psycho with Norman Bates. It's like one of those motels, but there's never no one in it. There's never no cars there. There's never no people coming and going. All there is like a group of 4 or 5 crackheads sat outside and a couple of foreigners. So I'm thinking, is it like one of those migrant hotels? Is it a homeless shelter now? So if anybody knows, let me know. But yeah, I was filming and I was talking about it, I wonder what this place is. There never seems to be no one there. It's weird, it's strange. And I heard in the background, like a diesel engine, a transit van, something like that. I don't know cars that much. And it was beeping the horn. I looked around and I'm like, fuck it, I don't know anyone in a tranny van. I don't know who that is. They can't be beeping me. And he pulled up right next to me and he says, "Oh, you know anyone who'll buy this, mate?" And he had I don't know what it was, like a little ratchet set or something, spanners, and it was just tools. And I said, no, mate, I don't know. And then he says, "Oh, have you got a pipe?" And he just totally threw me off guard. I was like, "What?" Say that again. He says, "Have you got a pipe?" And started doing the fucking pipe movement. I just says, "No, mate, I hadn't, no." And it totally threw me off guard. And then he just backed up and I rode up on my bike. Looking back now, he started beeping the horn outside of this hotel. So I'm wondering, is this I don't know, it's got to be like a homeless place or something. Because it looks like he was trying to sell that stuff there. Obviously, he was a crackhead. But yeah, it was just so bizarre. When I was an addict, if somebody had come up and said that, I'd say, "Oh, all right, now I ain't got out, mate, no." But now I'm clean. It totally caught me off guard. And then I started thinking, fuck me, why did he ask me that? Do I look like a crackhead? Is that it? Is that what people see me as? And I just started overthinking the whole thing, and it just did my head in. But yeah, it was a funny little interaction. And then again comes the moral dilemma. Do I upload this video to YouTube? Because I asked the other day, when somebody was in town, they'd gone over on drugs or there was gouging and the paramedics were around them and I was filming them and I got into an argument with someone. And I asked my audience, I says, "What do you think? Should I upload it? Or am I out of order?" And people, it was a mixed bag, Some people were saying, "Yeah, you should." Some people were saying, "No, it's out of order." One person said, "Oh, it's nonce behaviour," which fucking annoyed me. But I read all the comments. I went away. I made a decision, and I came back and I thought, right, well, I'm gonna video stuff like that because that's the reality of addiction. That's what I talk about. That's what this channel's all about. It's about the truth about addiction. But yeah, this guy I filmed because I was filming the whole thing when he came up, and I thought that's a funny little story. It'll probably do well on YouTube, but I don't really want to expose anybody. Maybe I don't want to embarrass him. Maybe his family don't know that he's on drugs. And nobody wants to be on YouTube asking for a pipe, do they? So yeah, I'm probably not going to upload it, but it would have been a funny little video. But anyway, that's what happened yesterday, and it was a strange little incident. Like I say, a few years ago, it would have been nothing, but because I'm clean now, it's it just affected me a little bit different, and it just totally threw me off. He says, "Do you want to buy it? Gives a pipe." I was fucking what? But anyway, when I was in that life, when I was a crackhead and a heroin addict, I used to meet crazy people all the fucking time. Because when you're homeless, you've got to stay anywhere you can. And some of the things what I saw, man, it was pretty scary. And I'm going to tell you this, why I hate women beaters, right? This was one guy who, it looked like one of those rednecks in America where they've got spiky crew cut. They've always got like a white vest on and scruffy jeans. He just looked like a redneck, muscly arms and that. And he says, "Oh, you can stop at my house." I was like, "Oh, nice one." And him and his missus just let me stop there. They let me do heroin there. They weren't even heroin addicts, but they let me fucking do my drugs there. So I was buzzing, and it was freezing cold outside. It was snowing. So I was just glad to be in out of the cold. It was like the weather would kill you if you're out in it. Absolutely freezing. And there was snow everywhere. So I'm in this house, and then him and his missus, I was laughing all day, there was drinking. And then he went into the kitchen with her, and he says, "Here, get in here." And dragged her into the kitchen, and then I could hear like crashing and banging and shouting, and I thought, what are they fucking doing? So I've gone home, and he's absolutely bashing the piss out of her, fucking not like slapping her out, proper weighing her in, like real proper punches. And he's gone on the floor, he's kicking her. I was like, wow, what do I do? Because like if it was me now, I'd stand up, I'd say, "Yeah, what you doing? You fucking," I'd get into it. But I was an addict, I was skinny as fuck, I was in his house, it was snowing outside, so he could easily just throw me out. So I just turned the other, I just looked away, and I was like, fuck it, it's none of my business, just leave him to it. And then she's like making excuses up for him, you know what I mean? And I just felt so sorry for her, but I couldn't do it. I just felt so helpless sat there. And that's why I hate women beaters, because I've been around it. I've seen what it's like. It's horrible. And these poor lasses, the guys beat them up that much that they start sticking up for them, saying, "Oh yeah, I didn't mean to do it. It was my fault." And they start blaming themselves. So yeah, that was one one fucking incident. That still lives with me to this day. And listen, I could have said something, and then I could have got thrown out, and I could have fucking froze to death. And I know what you're saying. "Oh, if that were me, I'd do this, or I wouldn't have been able to stand for that." But you've obviously never been homeless in the fucking freezing snow before, with nowhere to go. It's horrible. But yeah, that was one thing what did me head in. And there was another time as well when I went round to this dude's house, and he was what do you call, paranoid schizophrenic. He was an absolute Fruit Loop. He was a big lad, but he wasn't like muscly, he was just a big fat dude. And he used to smoke crack and drink beer. I can't remember if he used heroin, but I went round to his house, and we were sat smoking, and he missed the chemist. It must have been like a Friday, and it was shut all weekend. And I remember him saying, "Oh fucking hell, I've missed the chemist." So he couldn't get his meds for the for the schizophrenia, and I just saw the decline over the next few days, because we stayed there for the weekend, and he'll even let us stay in the bed. He was a lovely guy, but as the days went by, he wasn't sleeping because he'd not had his meds, and he started hallucinating. And I remember I was laid in bed with my missus at the time, and he was just screaming and shouting, hallucinating, going, "Ah, get away from me, fucking get away from me." I was like, fucking hell, and I'm laying in bed, I'm grabbing all that something, I'm like looking around for something I could grab, and all I could think about was a documentary what I watched a while ago, and it says paranoid schizophrenics, it's clinically proven that they'll hurt themselves more than anybody else, and that's all I could think about, because I thought, if he attacks us, I fucking... I'm in my boxer shorts, there's no weapons around, so I'm just grabbing all ass, and we just had to lay there and just listen to him. And he was screaming about little green men, saying, "Leave me alone, you fucking little green bastard." And he was fucking like, all night, he was screaming and getting progressively, and he'd jump up like, "Ah, get away, leave me alone." Like, fucking hell, this guy's descending into insanity. And I was just laid there fucking listening to him. And I never felt as vulnerable, I just felt I'm locked in this house with him. And but he never did it. He was just like screaming and shouting and hallucinating, and it was just, I've never seen it like that before. It was like fucking crazy. And I ended up feeling sorry for the guy, you know, like fucking imagine being locked inside his own head and he's hallucinating and seeing shit that's not there. And it's all because he missed the fucking chemist on a Friday. And but yeah, these are the sorts of people like who I had to associate with when I was an addict. There's no way around that. Because when you're homeless, you're just happy to stay somewhere. But like I say, you have to usually end up having to pay people, like a couple bags. Usually it's other addicts who'll say, yeah, you can stop here, just give me a couple bags. And so I'll go out grafting, make sure I get enough money, and then just give him a couple bags. But there was one guy who took the piss. I'm not going to say his name. I think he's dead now anyway. But he was like stealing stuff, you know. He was a horrible little cunt. Well, it wasn't little, he was massive. He was a big fucking meathead, tattoos everywhere, bald head with glasses. And he let me stop at his flat, and I knew he was nicking stuff. But I didn't want to say out, because then, you know, then we're kicked out. Again, I was stuck there. And I set him up, because I left him, I had a fake fiver what I found. I can't remember where I found it, but it was only half a fiver. And it was so busted up, so it was no good. But I put it on the side, but it looked like a fiver. And then I went to the toilet, and I come back and it was gone. So then I knew it was him, you know, he was nicking stuff, because all stuff had been going missing. So this is where I had to use my head, because obviously I couldn't fight the dude, it was his house. So I had to use my head and create a way I could get back at him without him even knowing I was getting back at him. And the way I did it was, it's pretty smart, even if I say so myself. I weaponized my drugs. And I went out one day, and I got my usual graft, you know, I did some shoplifting, fucking nicked some computer monitors, whatever. And I've come back, and I had a bag of heroin and a bag of crack. But I hid the heroin, and I pulled out the crack, and he's like, whoa, you're going to sort me out so you can stay here. And I said, listen, I can't get any gear. I've been everywhere, you know. And he's like, oh, I'm starting to fucking rattle, mate. I need some gear. I was like, well, I can give you some crack. That's all I've got. And anybody who's been a heroin addict will tell you, when you're rattling from drugs, which is detoxing, the last thing you need is crack, because it leaves you paranoid, it leaves you wired up, it's an awful feeling. So, you know, I pulled this crack out, and I said, well, I can give you some crack if you want. It was like, oh yeah, nice one, cheers mate, cheers, buzzing, nice one. I give him a nice fat 20 stone. and left him, you know, let him go on his way. And then we had my gear real quick while he was smoking the crack, and then put it away, you know, so he didn't know we had it. And I could just hear him like fucking festering about, banging, pacing about. And I was just laid with the missus, like, you know, that's what you get for fucking stealing off me, you know. I was giving him stuff anyway, and he's nicking bits of gear, he's nicking crack, he's nicking money. But I did need to stay there, so yeah, anyway, it was about 2 hours later, he's come in the bedroom saying, are you sure you ain't got any gear? I was like, no mate, we couldn't get any, nobody's got it, I'll have to wait till morning. So all night, he was festering, he was pacing, he was, you know, and he couldn't even do it about it, because he couldn't say, oh, you're out of order, because I'd give him fucking drugs like he wanted, you know. So that's what I used to do. I used to like weaponize drugs and find little sneaky, smart ways to get back at people. Because in that life, man, the one thing I learned over the years is never share your crack. Because these motherfuckers, they will take and give you nothing back. And when I first got on drugs, I was like, yeah, come round, we'll have a smoke. You know, I was sharing it with everyone. And the reason what got me to where I'm like, yeah, fuck you, I'm not sharing this with no one, this is mine, you know. I went round to this kid's house. I used to go around and sort him out all the time. He didn't have to do nothing, just sit there and let me smoke crack in his house, share it with him, 50-50, straight down the middle. That's hundreds of pounds, you know, every couple of days. I'm sharing him with him. And one day I've like emptied some money out, and the fivers or a tenner or something fell to the side. Well, I didn't see it. It was out of my vision, and he's fucking snatched it. I didn't even know. It was his brother what told me about it. Like a couple of weeks later, says, "Oh yeah, he nicked a tenner off you, didn't he?" I says, "What?" He says, oh, did you sell this? I says, yeah. How do you know that? He says, he told me. He says, you dropped a tenner and he's fucking nicked it. I thought, you little prick. And then another time I went into the bathroom and it was throwing it down with rain. All I had was a tenner, right? So I've gone into this house and I says, oh, here's a bag, a tenner bag. So I've got the tenner bag. I says, yeah, I'll give money in a minute. It's in my pocket. You know, I shouldn't have fucking said that, because then he's gone straight in the bathroom, because I went in the bathroom and he'd been throwing it down, so I took my coat off and put it on the radiator in the bathroom. And then as soon as I said that, I'll get money in a minute, it's in my pocket. He's gone into the bathroom, fucking took this tenner out of my pocket, come back, you know, and I didn't catch on. And anyway, I smoked, fucking bird, I smoked the gear, and then he says, oh, have you got that tenner? I said, yeah, just, it must be in my other pocket. So I've gone in, not there, gone out of my pocket. And I'm like, fucking hell. And, you know, then I owed a tenner then. So I had to go and get a fucking tenner, and it was that prick. Fucking nicked it again. I couldn't prove out, so... And anyway, was sat smoking crack, right, with this dude all night, right? And then when it had all gone, fucking like, probably about £500 worth of crack shared with him. And then when it had all gone, he's pulled his own fucking crack out. And I was like, oh, well, here's a pipe. Then he said, oh, I can't. It's got to last me. I was like, you fucking knobhead. You know what I mean? He just smoked all mine. But again, he was this fucking big hard cunt. He was like a dealer. So I couldn't really do it. But it learns, it teaches you. Yeah, fuck these people, you know. They're never going to fucking help you out. There was times in prison, so many times I've been in jail with people. And I would say, yeah, I'll sort you out when I get out. Because what we used to do is we used to send gear under the stamp to prison. They caught on to it after a while. But I got away with it for a while as well. And I would always say, yeah, I'll sort you out when I get out. I did it for a kid in Walton, in Liverpool. I got out from Walton, sent him gear under the stamp. And he got it as well. And then when he got out, I saw him. I said, you all right? He says, yeah. And he ended up nicking my phone. I was like, you motherfucker. And then when I get locked up, nobody wants to know. I did it with a kid in Doncaster. I was sending it under the stamp. And I always used to help people out. And then you learn over the years, fuck those people, you know. They're not going to help you. They're all about themselves. And that's what you have to be in that life. You have to be selfish and just say, nah, fuck you. I'm not sharing it. This is mine. Fuck up. But yeah, anyway, that's just a few little stories about my time as an addict. And like I say, I may have spoke about this before. I fucking can't remember. But I'm getting all new subscribers now anyway. But yeah, if you like this video, press the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Bonjour.